Hi, it's Anna here. Thanks for tuning in. So, one of the reasons why this path can feel incredibly difficult and why things can feel chaotic in the collective at this time is because we are living at a time of incredible change. And, as human beings, we are not really wired for change. We don't like it. Let's just put it simply. Our lower ego actually hates it. But we are living at a time and on a collective level and on a personal level where we are being asked actually to evolve out of blind faith and I guess passive living, passive spirituality towards co-creation. And in a nutshell, it's really a maturation process, a spiritual maturation process where you are being asked on a macro level, in your life to literally put your big girl pants on and do it. And so, evolving out of blind faith, passive living, just really living unconsciously. These are the remnants of dream consciousness that Rudolf Steiner has spoken about, will require us to fully face everything, to face our own shadow, which is incredibly, incredibly difficult and painful and unpleasant, and also facing the shadow in the world. That's why there's so much information at this time to fully confront evil. And a lot of information about narcissism, understanding the dark triad, understanding character impairment, all that stuff, right? It's for a purpose. And so that's why it's incredibly difficult and it can feel so chaotic and there's just so much confusion around because the change that's being asked of us, the impulse that's flowing through the world and ourselves and asking to do that change is incredibly difficult. So to speak completely candidly, because I'm not speaking from a holier than thou perspective, I didn't want a bar of it. I did not want to do it. Putting my big girl pants on, I just didn't want to do that. And facing my shadow was the hardest thing I've ever done. Actually having to confront the fact that, I'm accepting and tolerating way too much. And, owning my part of the equation in the process, because it's one thing to fully see the other person and how toxic they are, but you also have to own the other part of the equation, which is, why am I here? Why am I tolerating this? Why am I enabling this? That's the part that a lot of people don't want to be doing, and it's actually key to our liberation and key to coming from this unconscious living to becoming a co-creator. And it's also happening at a spiritual level. This is why religions are having a really hard time at this time, because there is a shift, there is a change that's being asked of all of us, where it's no longer enough to rely on a guru or a priest. You also have to tune in. You have to find your own internal guidance system and your own connection with God, your higher self, however you want to call this, right? You have to tune in. You have to do this. And it's because you cannot become a true co-creator if you are not truly free. And freedom comes with putting those big girl pants on or boy pants on. It comes from fully maturing, fully taking full responsibility and accountability for our life and for everything. And it's difficult and nobody wants to be doing it. And so that's why it can feel so chaotic and it's an incredible time of change that requires a lot from us, but it also is an incredible opportunity to become truly free. And becoming truly free doesn't mean doing whatever we want, right? That's actually not what this is. Becoming truly free comes with becoming obedient to the voice inside that is your true self, that is your higher self, that is God, the divine. And releasing the lower self, releasing the lower urges and the lower desires and the lower impulses, and discerning which voice is the true self and which voice is the lower self is part of it. And it will come with getting it wrong sometimes, getting burned sometimes, feeling like utter shit, and that's the path. That's basically the only way to actually do that, to actually find that true middle path, and fully rise into that position of the co-creator. Because God doesn't want children anymore. God wants co-creators. You need to fully spiritualize and anchor your spirit within, which takes time and is difficult, like I said, so that you can become, this true creator on the ground that can effect true change in your personal life, and then it has a flow-on effect to the people around you. So that's what this is, right? We are given this incredible gift of actually coming into a place of complete freedom in the true sense of the word, which is, like I said, not doing whatever we want, but actually coming into true knowledge. So it's no longer blind faith and relying on others to tell us what to do, what to believe in. It's actually you fully coming into a knowing within. And that's where, spiritual science comes in as well, right? And the whole work of Rudolf Steiner that I've been speaking about, because it's no longer enough to sense things even. It's really important to come into a full understanding of things that are deeply felt within. And true freedom also comes from having that discipline and putting in that effort to tune in and truly feel the voice of the higher self, of God, of the divine, and actually making the decisions that have to be made and taking the action that has to be taken. So it's not enough to just feel the truth. You also have to actually do what needs to be done in your life. You're not waiting for anyone. You're not waiting for anything to happen in the collective. This is happening in your life. And you are the one doing this in co-creation with the divine. So that's why it's so hard. It's because to come into this point of co-creation and its point of maturation and evolution, really, into this co-creative position, it will require work. It will require inner work. It will require shadow work. And this is the process of true individuation, where we're no longer relying on a guru or a teacher. And I'm not saying that, you can't seek advice. That's not what I'm saying at all. But there is a part of you that still needs to run whatever someone tells you through your own guidance system, so that you need to come to your own understanding of things. It's no longer enough to have someone explain things to you. You have to do the work so that whatever someone explains to you, you come to a point where you truly feel it and you understand it deeply. So that's what's happening on a collective level. And that's why a lot of people have very strong emotions from all of the different angles, right? It's because that's what's happening at a micro level, in our own individual life, and on a collective level, where we are being asked to rise out of group consciousness, blind faith, passive living, unconscious living, into becoming fully conscious co-creators who can see things very clearly, who have critical thinking, logical thinking, who are, operating fully consciously on all levels, in your day-to-day life, on a spiritual level, all of that. And so that's why it's hard. And that's also why it's so worth it. And that's the gift and the pain at this time. There are a lot of forms of spirituality that are really popular at this time that are actually very passive still, right? Any forms of non-duality, of just being instead of understanding that it's an equilibrium between both being and doing, um, any forms of passive channeling, really any form of being what it feels like to me being checked out and passive. It feels good. I just want to make that clear. That's the reason why it's so popular, because it actually feels good. Because, like I said, I didn't want to put my big girl's pants on. Nobody wants to. Why would you want to do that when you can just, check out and just connect and feel good? Um, but in the long run, so it might feel good in the short run, but in the long run, you actually are stunting your growth and your evolution. And there are plenty of testimonies of people who have lived this life, this life of non-duality for decades, um, and uh, and then they come down from the cloud and they realize, okay, I probably need to do something with my life now. I actually need to be present in my life, present with my kids, present in my relationships, and actually face and confront the issues in my relationships, and no longer be conflict avoidance, and use that form of spirituality, as spiritual bypassing, preventing me from actually confronting what needs to be confronted in my life. Because that's the thing, right? Like the divine is not, and spirituality is not a form of escapism. It's not actually feeling good. It's fully rising and maturing and taking ownership of everything and facing things. That's actually the true form of spirituality. That's not popular, that's not sexy, and yet that's the one that will actually truly, truly move the needle for you. I can't stress that enough. I didn't want to do any of it, you know. I had to be dragged kicking and screaming at times. I had to sit through so many tears. At times, I felt like I was literally having panic attacks from the actions that I didn't want to take, right? And still, I sit here telling you it's the only way. You have to go through all of that to come to the other side, to actually feel truly free, truly empowered, and fully standing in this co-creating position. That's so ultimately it's worth it, but it's not popular and it doesn't feel good. And so it really pays to understand that at this time, what's popular is not the truth. And there is actually an incredible lady online, an Indian lady doing incredible work to dismantle the non-duality problem, really, of this passive spirituality. And I can't remember her name, but I will put a screenshot of one of her videos when I edit this video later on, because if it's something that you want to understand deeper, because again, like I said, this comes with true knowledge and true understanding. Her work is incredible, actually. So that's what I wanted to share today. I hope that's helpful, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.